With all the online genealogy research options such as Ancestry and FamilySearch, can we still benefit from print genealogy resources? Join me today as we find out. If we are going to use print for genealogy research, we need to know how to find the print items we want to use. The Dewey Decimal System is a classification system used by libraries to arrange books by subject. Each book is given a spine label. The first three digits on the spine label refer to a broad subject area and they're shelved in numerical order, so 945 is shelved before 946. After the three digits, there is a decimal point, and numbers after the decimal point show the subsection of the subject area. Again, they're shelved in numerical order, so 945.805 is shelved before 945.81. After the numbers, there are at least three letters which refer to the author or editor of the book, and they're in alphabetical order. So 945.805 TAB is shelved before 945.805 TRB. Most genealogy books are in the 900s because the 900s is where you'll find biography and history. The Dewey System organizes items not only by subject matter but also by geography. The southeastern U.S. is 975 and Georgia is 975.8. Each county within Georgia has a unique set of digits after the 8. LibraryThing.com has good explanations about the way Dewey is organized. Academic libraries use Library of Congress classification system, but you probably don't need to understand that because most public libraries use the Dewey system. If you want to search for a book, you can use our library catalog, which you'll find on our website, www.docolib.org. In the top right corner of the web page is a search box where you can search the catalog. I've highlighted it with a yellow box. I typed in Georgia Genealogy and then clicked the magnifying glass. The default search setting searches all branches of the Dougherty County Public Library. You can also filter your results by library, so I filtered by Northwest Branch, then clicked Search again. My search retrieved 1,118 results. You can use the green bars on the left side of the page to further refine your search. I chose marriage records. Now I have 192 items in the catalog on Georgia Genealogy, narrowed by marriage records. Now that you understand how genealogy materials are organized and how to search our catalog, let me show you the types of books we have, along with examples of the information you can find using each type. The first type of general reference sources include historical and genealogical encyclopedias, as well as statistical reference sources. You can use these to learn background information about your subject area or geographic area. Here is an entry from the Cyclopedia of Georgia about the importance of artesian wells to the coastal plain region of Georgia, which includes Dougherty County. Georgia's first free-flowing artesian well was dug in western Dougherty County in 1881 and produced pure water for many years. The city of Albany continued to drill many artesian wells and even adopted the free-flowing water as its symbol and nickname, the Artesian City, on the official seal of the city. The Encyclopedia of Georgia has an entry about historic places in Dougherty County. You can use old telephone books and city directories to find information about people, businesses, government agencies, and particular buildings. You can read social histories to better understand the historical context in which your ancestors lived. Take a look at my class on city directories if you want to know more about how to use them. Here is an example of what you can do with city directories. I was helping a patron research Tabitha Toddy Jones and her husband, Homer Vernon Jones. I knew that the couple lived in Albany and that Homer had died here, but there were no census records showing their residence here because they moved here after 1950, so I couldn't find them on that census. The first directory entry I found for them was in the 1959 telephone directory. This page is from the 1963 Albany telephone directory, which is the first year they lived on Rawson Drive. I continued to see H.V. Jones in the telephone directory until 1988. Homer died and was buried in Albany in 1972, but Tabitha continued that telephone listing after his death. She died in 1993 in her birthplace of Tallahassee, Elmore County, Alabama, and was buried there. The directory showed me their place of residence, and I was able to find an image of their apartment building, which is still standing, on Google Earth. Most genealogy libraries have many how-to books that will make you a better researcher. On this slide, you can see the front cover of 3 how-to books. The one on the left, North Carolina Research, Genealogy, and Local History, is very well respected and a very helpful book. Inside North Carolina Research, you can find an image from a North Carolina tax list. It labels each part of the list and explains how to analyze it. It teaches you what kind of records you'll find in North Carolina, how to find them, and how to analyze them. Genealogy libraries have maps, atlases, and gazetteers that give more information about historical geography. Watch my class on maps and gazetteers for genealogy if you want to know more information on how to use them to advance your research. This is a page from the Map Guide to the U.S. Census. This book is a big help because it shows you county boundary changes over time. This tells you where you will find records about your ancestors during various time periods. The library does have a wonderful online resource, the Atlas of Historical County Boundaries, but sometimes it's easier to see it in a book. Each ethnic group that you research has unique challenges. We have books on ethnic research that will help you deal with those research challenges for your family. A Genealogist's Guide to Discovering Your African American Ancestors is a good example of an ethnic how-to book. The author details her search for her family history, gives how-to information, and even demonstrates case studies using her ancestors. Bibliographies and finding aids can list the books published on various topics and geographic locations. They are a wonderful way of learning what is out there. Printed Sources, a guide to published genealogical records, is a wonderful resource for learning more about the printed sources available for many research areas. I used this book as I developed this class to make sure I didn't forget any types of genealogy books to show you. The page on the screen is from the chapter on published church records. Whenever you're researching a new geographic area or using a record type that is new to you, be sure to look at print bibliographies. There are at least 10 different types of indices and records that can help you with your genealogy research. Let's start with census indices. There are print census indices to the U.S. federal census starting with the 1790 census. Book indices to census records are available at most genealogical libraries. Indices normally help to find about 93 to 98% of the names in a census, but sometimes a name is misspelled so much the index user cannot find the name. Don't give up if the first index search fails to find the name you seek. You can use more advanced strategies to find your people on the census if they're difficult to find. A print census index is a great way of seeing how many people with the same surname appear in a given state and county during a given census year. Here's an image from the Georgia 1840 Census Index showing 15 men with the surname Doherty. The first column shows the names of the heads of the household. Remember, all household number names were not listed until 1850. Column 2 gives the letter code abbreviation for their county of residence. The third column tells on what page the person's census image appears on the microfilm. The fourth column tells the census division within each county, which could be township, city, ward, military district, etc. In the beginning of the book is included the instructions that were given to the census enumerator for that census year. These can be helpful to know in difficult research situations. Census records are great for genealogy, but they were only taken every 10 years. Taxes were paid every year, so tax records are a wonderful and very underused source. Tax records can tell you name, residence, age, occupation, description of real estate, name of the original purchaser, description of personal property, how many males over 21 in the household, how many school children, how many slaves, how many farm animals, and even information about rented property. If you can find a tax index for your ancestors' geographic location, it is well worth looking for them there. Then you can go to FamilySearch, Ancestry, Estate Archives online collection, or other places to look at the original tax record. Some tax list books even transcribe the tax list for you. It's always best to also look at the original image in case the indexer or transcriber made a mistake. The Bladen County, North Carolina 1763 tax list transcribes the tax list so that you can read it directly from the book. As I mentioned, it's always a good idea to look at the original image in case of transcription errors. In 1763, Bladen County had a poll tax, which means a tax on each head or each person. Though only the head of household taxpayer is listed by name, you can estimate how many people of various ages, sexes, and races lived in each household using the tax list. There are index books that can give you information about births, marriages, and deaths. Even if your state did not have statewide records yet, your ancestors' county or local church might have been collecting vital records. It's worth a try. Most states did not keep statewide vital records until the early 20th century, but before that there were church baptismal records as well as records kept by some counties. The book that I'm showing you here was created by compiling Pennsylvania church records as early as 1644. It tells the name of the infant, the date of the birth or baptism, and a number representing the church record where the birth record can be found so that you can find the original record. Find a Grave, Billion Graves, and other online cemetery indices are a wonderful way to find cemetery records. But some cemeteries have a low percentage of graves that have been added to the online cemetery databases. If you cannot find your ancestor's grave on Find a Grave or Billion Graves, don't overlook print cemetery indices. Cemetery index books will tell you the person's name, dates of birth and death, and other information that is shown on the gravestone, as well as the location of the grave by cemetery plot number. Church records are a great way of finding births via baptismal records, as well as finding marriage and burial records. If you can find a print collection of church records for your ancestors' religion and/or geographic area, it's a worthwhile place to look. In a settlement community, the church was often established before any other institution. Though faith brought people together, social events were an important part of the church's role, especially in rural communities. This is a list of the members of the Beulah Methodist Church in Worth County, Georgia for the years 1895 through 1897. FamilySearch and Ancestry have many digitized probate records, but not all of those records are indexed. So even if your ancestor's will is not retrieved in an online keyword search, your ancestor's will still might be digitized. You can use print, will, and probate indices to look for the book and page number of your ancestor's will or other probate record. Once you know the book and page number, you can find the original documents in the image-only digital collections much more quickly. Let me show you how. Here's a page from the Georgia Will Directory. I've outlined in yellow the name of Richmond Allen, whose will was filed in Richmond County in 1877 and was contained in Will Book D on page 521. To find his probate record, I'm going to search the FamilySearch catalog. You can sign up for a free subscription to FamilySearch at www.familysearch.org. Once on the home page, I click Search and then scroll down and click Catalog. I'm going to search the catalog by place. I enter in United States, Georgia, Richmond. The place name will pop up from below and you click on it when it does. Be sure to click the button for online availability. For each county in the FamilySearch catalog, there's a list of records by record type with a triangle to the left of each record type. If you click on a record type line, it will expand to show all the records available for that record type. To the right of each record type, it tells you how many records are available for that category. I clicked on probate records, which has 14 records in that category. We know from the index book that the probate record is in the Richmond County Will Books for the year 1877, so we look for the will books that include that year and click on the link. We also know from the index that the probate record is in Will Book D on page 521, so we're going to click on the camera icon to the right of Wills, Volume C through D, 1853 to 1881. Now we can see the images of each page of Will Books C and D. The first images are created by the microfilmers and tell what the next series of images includes. It also shows an image of the cover of the book being searched. Always look at the typed images and the book cover to make sure you're looking in the correct volume. The first images here are for Will Book C. Each will book usually has an alphabetical index of names in the front, so if you were looking without the benefit of a library index book and had an idea of the correct year, you could go to that year and find the name in the will book index. We don't need that since we know we are looking for pages 521. The page numbers do not match the image numbers, which you can see outlined in a yellow box. You can scroll down the page and click on various images until you get closer to the correct number. I find that it's faster and easier to randomly enter image numbers in the image number field. You click on the number in the box, backspace, or delete over it, type in a new number, then press enter. Then double-click the highlighted image to see the actual book page number that you're on. Keep going until you get to the right one. The will was on book page 521, which was image 592 of the 727 images in Will Books C and D. I've blown up the images of the will so that they're a little bit easier to see. So we have gone from the index book to an image of the actual will without much difficulty at all. Like probate records, many land records are digitized but not indexed. Try to find your ancestors' land transactions in print indices so that you can find the original document in the image-only online digital collections, just as we did with the will. Here are some land records for William T. Crow outlined in yellow. The one we are focusing on is the deed from the sheriff in Deed Book DD, page 273. Again, we're going to search the catalog. This time we're searching online collections for United States, Georgia, Franklin County. We want to see deed records and mortgages, so we click on that. We are looking for book DD, page 273, so we click on the camera icon beside the film that contains book DD. Again, we're going to randomly click in different image numbers until we get close to page 273. And when I get close to the page, sometimes I just scroll page by page until I get to it. So page 273 was located on image 521. Mr. Crow bought 100 acres along Dog Creek for $59. He was the highest bidder at a courthouse sale. By reading the original deed, you can learn all kinds of details that will help your research. Court records are often in the online image-only collections, just like land and probate records. Use print court indices to find the court matters your ancestor might have been involved in. Then try to get copies of the original documents online. This is an index book for Houston County, Georgia. We see that Mary Jones is the widow of Edward Jones. She was given $300 to support herself and her children in 1836 and was appointed guardian of her children. So we're searching the catalog again, this time for Houston County, Georgia. We know from the book index that we're looking for the wills and inferior court minutes for the year 1837, so we click on the link that's going to take us there. We are still looking for the year 1837, so we click on the camera icon next to the volume that includes that year. We're looking for book page 52, so we're going to use the image field to try different image numbers until we get to the image number that contains book page 52. On book page 52, it was on image number 35 of 299, and you can now read the court minutes explaining exactly what the court did that day in Mary Jones's case. Your ancestor might have received bounty lands or a pension after military service. There may be other military records as well. The library has print indices of military service for many of our wars. Let's look for John A. Carter of Randolph County, Georgia in the War of 1812. We see from the print index that he served in South Carolina. It then shows number 17808, which is his pension number. He married his wife, Averilla McMichael, in 1818 in Jasper County, Georgia. He served in G.D. Greer's Georgia Militia and lived in Randolph County, Georgia. This time, let's look at what Ancestry Library Edition can show us for John A. Carter's service record. To get to Ancestry Library Edition, go to our website at www.docolib.org. Hover your cursor over Research and Learn, then click on Genealogy Resources under Topics. Scroll down the page until you see Ancestry Library Edition and click on the hyperlinked phrase. In Ancestry, we're going to search the card catalog. Hover your cursor over the word Search, then click Card Catalog. We type in the keyword field Pension 1812, then click Search. Our search retrieved 7 databases. We want to look at the U.S. War of 1812 Pension Application Files Index, 1812 through 1815, so we click on that. This takes us to the search box for that database. We enter in everything we know about John A. Carter from the index entry, his name, date, and place of marriage, place of residence, his wife's name, and then we click the blue search button. Our search takes us to an index of his pension file index and tells us the date he enlisted, 7 August 1814, the date discharged, 7 February 1815, where his military service took place. The pension number from the index book is here, and he had an additional pension with its own pension number as well. It also tells us 2 bounty land numbers for him. We see the microfilm roll number that the image is on, as well as the archive publication number. You can click on the image to make it larger. This is the image of the Pension Application Files Index. If you want the actual pension records, you can get them from the National Archives. Visit their website for more information on how to conduct military record research using National Archives records. Immigration record indices are very important because they're not all available online. The Passenger and Immigration Lists Index, edited by P. William Philby, which is the beige book in the center of the image on the slide, it used to be included in a Gale online database. Gale has discontinued that online database, so the print index is currently our only source for that information. Every American with early immigrant ancestors needs this work by Philby because it covers early immigration from the 1500s to the 1900s, long before the U.S. began keeping formal immigration records in 1820. This work is one of the best places to go for tracing relatives to early colonial America. The image on the slide is from a book by George Greer called Early Virginia Immigrants, 1623 through 1666. It shows the immigrant's name, the year of immigration, the name of the immigrant's sponsor, and the county to which the immigrant came, if known. The image on this slide is from another book about Virginia immigrants and adventurers, and it's in a biographical format. It gives information about each Virginia immigrant listed. Documentary collections are collections of records related to a specific place or topic. Sometimes you might find your ancestor in one of these collections, or you might find important historical background information that will help you better interpret the historical records that you find about your ancestor. Usually these records come from government documents. The image on this slide is from the Revolutionary Records of the state of Georgia. Towards the bottom of the image, you can see that William Thompson received a grant of 200 acres in Wilkes County from the governor of Georgia on 20 September 1784. The image on this slide is from Volume 7 of the American State Papers Public Lands. This is an account of a Daniel Smith who purchased land in Indiana on the 13th of October 1830. He got the southeast quarter of Section 20, Township 13 North, Range 1 West. Then on 11 April 1831, Joseph Mosier was granted a patent on the same parcel of land on the basis of preemption, meaning that the man had previously occupied that land. This canceled the patent of Daniel Smith, who petitioned the Committee on Private Land Claims. The committee ruled in favor of Mr. Smith, so he was able to keep his land. Each volume of the American State Papers has an index where you can look for names. While you cannot take every fact written in published family histories as true, they're still an important and underused genealogical source of information. You can learn about forgotten customs, personal anecdotes, family legends, historical events, and people who were underrepresented in officially written histories, such as women and African Americans. When you research published family histories, be sure to search the catalog and not just browse the shelves. Each generation back contains double the number of surnames of the later generations as various people intermarried. Just because the surname is not in the book title doesn't mean the surname might not be included in that book. Here's a family history of the McGeehees that includes a transcription of the 1724 will of Thomas McGeehee of King William County, Virginia. An 1885 courthouse fire destroyed most records, but this will was extracted before that fire. So family histories can even help you if your ancestors lived in a burned county. If you really want a deep understanding of your own family's history, it's essential to study the places where they lived. Reading local histories helps you understand the kind of life your ancestors lived, the community they lived in, and their role in that community. County and local history books expose you to amazing stories that spice up your family history and make it much richer. They also give you new knowledge that helps you find additional records. Local histories can tell you about changing county or town boundaries and will give you clues on where to find records that you might otherwise have missed. There are county and local histories written on almost every town and county of the United States, no matter how rural or small. The local history book for Bibb County, Alabama on the left side of the slide contains photographs of ancestors of mine that I had never seen before. I searched the index of early settlers of Alabama to see if any of my Thompson ancestors were mentioned. It not only mentioned my ancestors, but also gave a 13-page genealogy of the family dating back to the first Thompson settlers in 1623. It does not give extensive citations to primary sources, but it gives the names and dates of documents relied upon, which I could use to find primary sources without too much difficulty. So don't overlook county and local histories as you research your ancestors. When we think of biographies, we tend to think of ones about famous people. Thousands of brief biographical sketches have been collected and published in compiled biographies. Sometimes they're called biographical encyclopedias. These collections most often include biographies of early settlers and prominent or well-known citizens of a particular state, county, or town. Others feature biographies of scientists, writers, artists, or other vocations. We have many biographies and biographical encyclopedias that you can use to learn more about your ancestors, or at least about their historical context. This is a good example of a set of biographies of various citizens of Texas from 1889. It includes drawings and signatures for some of the people, and even includes some biographies of women. A periodical is a regularly published magazine, newsletter, or journal. Many local genealogical and historical societies publish magazines and newsletters. The articles in these periodicals often include genealogies and pedigrees, how-to articles, transcripts of records, local histories, maps, available records, social history, book reviews, ads for professional genealogists, and requests for information about specific ancestors or family. Local genealogy society periodicals often contain obscure genealogical information that you won't be able to find anywhere else. Northwest Library has a big collection of genealogy periodicals. You can use the periodical source index, also called PERSI, to find articles that help your research. To get to PERSI, you'll navigate to the genealogy page of our website. Start at www.docolib.org. Hover your cursor over Research and Learn, then click on Genealogy Resources. Scroll down the page until you see the link to PERSI and then click on it. We're going to try an article title keyword search, so click that button. I'm wondering if there are any accounts of horse stealing in Clark County, Georgia, so I type in horse stealing Clark and then click search. I see an article about William Russell horse stealing in 1811. So I look for Volume 39, Issue 1, Spring 2003 of the Georgia Genealogical Society Quarterly, which we have at Northwest Library. So here's that page from the periodical article about horse stealing in Clark County, Georgia. If you want to know more about how to use PERSI, look at my class that's just about how to use PERSI. So just to review, why are we going to use genealogy resources in print? Not everything is digitized. Not everything that's digitized is indexed. You can learn a deep historical context that you can't find any other way. You can get research ideas and tips from librarians when you go to the library in person, and you can also make friends with other genealogy enthusiasts. So I hope you've enjoyed this class, and we look forward to seeing you at our next class. Until then, happy researching!